What's up, NBA fans? Welcome back to episode 27 of the Off The Dribble podcast with my co-host Aashrith and myself, Chetan Kolli. Today, we're just going to be talking about what's been going on in the NBA since the season started a couple weeks ago, a week and a half ago per se. We're going to be talking about what teams have been exceeding expectations, what teams have been underwhelming, and then obviously touching on the Wolves and the Thunder as well, and how they have been playing so far throughout the first 4 games of the season. So to start it off, we're going to talk about the Celtics Pacers game that happened yesterday. The Pacers ended up coming out on top, 135, 132 in overtime. And Oshrit, this is the Celtics' first loss of the season, putting them at 4-1, and then the Pacers' second win of the season, putting them at 2-3. So I don't know if you had a chance to watch the game, but what were your thoughts on like how that game ended?
Yeah, me and my roommates caught the fourth quarter. I didn't think it was gonna be that close because the Pacers were up by 24 going into
Yeah.
the fourth. But I mean, Celtics showed championship heart, just bringing that game back. The Pacers, I don't know what was going on. Like those last 3 minutes, the amount of the shot quality was horrific. Like turning the ball over. I think Derek White had a couple inbound steals.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum had a couple huge threes, but in the end, a nice mid-range jumper by Siakam kind of sealed the deal.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it's not that big of a deal for the Celtics. Obviously, the 82 games, they lost one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to see the Pacers take a big step, and that's a big game for the Pacers. Like after they lost a couple really really close ones. They lost one to the Knicks. They lost a close one by 2 to the Magic when Paolo dropped 50.
They
They
lost a
lost.
close one to the Sixers after
Yeah.
Halliburton made a shot to send it to overtime.
So even though they choked 24, it's good to see them actually come out with a close win for once.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, obviously, like the Celtics losing one game like into the season, like it's not that big of a deal, especially at they're 4-1, still a great record, sitting at the top of the East. Not the top of the East, second in the East, because the Cavs are 5-0 actually. But yeah, it's kind of like the game was just kind of all over the place for the Pacers. Like you saw them make strides and kind of look like the team they looked like last season when they were up 24, but at the same time you saw the team you saw in the playoffs where like they couldn't hold a lead against the Celtics, and then they kind of broke down in the fourth quarter. But again, in crunch time, Siakam sealed it with the three with like 6 seconds left. So again, that's a great win for them, putting them at 2-3. So gives them a little bit of momentum. But perfect segue into what I just was talking about. The Cavs are, and the Celtics aren't number one in the East right now, and surprisingly, the Cavs are 5-0. There was a lot of talk in the offseason. Me and you talked about it a lot. Like, what is going to happen with the D-Mitch, Darius Garland pairing? Like, are we going to see it like happen this year? Or is it going to work this year? But like when you look at the team, like their core is Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, and then obviously D-Mitch and Darius Garland. With the way they're playing right now, like obviously it's only 5 games into the season, but it kind of like me personally, like it gives me like a little bit of hope for them. Like if they stay healthy, like I want to see like a healthy core of those four in the playoffs. Like who knows, maybe they can make some noise. Like what are your thoughts on like that core and like how they started the season off so far?
I'm not gonna overreact. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've seen the two ball dominant guards who don't play defense experiment fail multiple times before. I think the only pairing it's worked for is Luka and Kyrie, right?
Yeah.
So that's and I don't think any of these two players are the caliber of Luka or Kyrie. Maybe Donovan Mitchell and Kyrie are comparable, but Luka
Mm-hmm.
definitely not. But it's really nice to see Darius Garland play well after last season. Last
Yep.
season was obviously a down year for him. A lot of injuries. I think did he break his jaw?
Yeah, he had some sort of facial
Yeah,
injury.
I forgot his injury, but it was a really up and down year for him. He came in yesterday. He didn't play that great, but he didn't have to because they won by 40 points.
Yeah.
But he came into last game. I think he was averaging 60% from the field and 69% from three. He was shooting absurd numbers. He had 32 the previous game. I forgot who they played, but he took over that fourth quarter. He's been on a tear. Mitchell doesn't even really need to do anything because Garland's shooting so well. Yesterday, Jared Allen at 20 and 17 ruined the Bronny homecoming. It was a great game for them. It was I didn't think the Lakers would fold over that easily.
Yeah, neither did I.
I guess we can talk about the Lakers in a sec, but it's nice to see the Cavs defensive front court working so well, and Evan Mobley obviously top 5, top 7 defensive player of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Like me, especially you, like you've had like a lot of interest in like you've liked Evan Mobley a lot, especially like his potential and like how good of a defender he can be, especially because he has the ability to like go out there and like stay in front of a guard if he needs to. Like he's not just like your only like rim protecting kind of big man. Like he's pretty versatile on that end. But at the same time, like he's a 7-footer that can put the ball on the floor and also like make a jump shot over you. So like obviously like both of us see that defensive potential, but like if he takes, we're seeing it a little bit already, but if he takes that next step offensively, who knows what the Cavs can be like. But like you're saying, like don't want to overreact, especially 5 games into the season. But a lot of people do seem to be overreacting about how the Lakers are playing from the first 3-4 games and then to yesterday after them getting blown out from the Cavs and ruining LeBron and Bronny's homecoming to Ohio. So personally, me, like the Wolves play the Lakers in game 1. So I'll start off with this a little bit. The Lakers looked really good in that game, like especially with Anthony Davis. Like if you have healthy Anthony Davis for the season with the way he's playing right now and injuries aren't lingering him like constantly every game, the Lakers are in a good shape. But the thing around that is like they don't have another consistent scorer. Like you even see LeBron right now. Like you saw him drop like 32 points one game. You see him like struggle to get to the double digit mark against the 5 games into the season. Don't worry, we still have a lot more time. But you saw LeBron struggle to hit double digit scoring against the Suns one game. So like his consistency in scoring isn't there. Austin Reeves has had a pretty good season. He played really well in their first 4 games, but my concern for the Lakers is like outside of that, like AD's like consistent 35, 30 points they're not going to be getting like a 25 point per game score. So I don't really know how it's going to work for them coming like in the next like second half of the season and everything. But like the one thing I wanted to say is you can definitely see the difference in coaching between like drastic improvement in the coaching. Like there's set plays that are being ran like in timeouts. JJ is like, you can personally like see him like telling LeBron, like, this is what you're supposed to do. It's not just like Darvin Ham sitting there in the chair being like, salute, like hard work, good job. Like it's none of that. Like you see JJ yelling at, there was a play where LeBron had like 3 seconds left on the shot clock and then had a shot clock violation and JJ was going at him. Like he don't give a fuck if it's LeBron or not. Like he's there to win games. And you could see even like the late game execution, his plan is to give the ball to AD. Darvin Ham, he didn't really have a plan. It was whoever had the ball, go chuck up a shot and see if it goes in. So that's something really nice to see. It's like an actual, like them having a basketball game plan.
I've had a lot of like free time over the years that I've allocated to like podcasts. And one podcast that I watched a lot was JJ Redick's.
Yeah.
And he always said that if he was to coach the Lakers, he'd play LeBron off the ball. And like everyone was like confused about like why. Oh my God, like LeBron's been so ball dominant throughout his whole entire career. Like why would you play him off the ball? And the cool thing that JJ Redick's doing is that if you look at every single play that the Lakers run, everything is rolled around LeBron and AD, even if they don't touch the ball. Like the motion will be around LeBron or AD so that 2 go to AD, so that 1 cutter flies open to the paint. Like there's a wide open man because 2 people come to LeBron. Even if LeBron doesn't have the ball, the gravity that both of them have is like so immense that JJ's playing off that. He'll get Rui open for a corner 3 or Connect open for like a wing 3 or like someone rolling to the basket on like a wide open look like Reeves or something. It's so like it's such a modern way of playing basketball, but that also includes like using your 2 best players not just as like vessels to score from, but like you can bounce action off them, and it's so cool. But like I don't see it's like good coaching only goes so far, right? Like you have to have the talent to work with. And like you said, we're really blessed to have LeBron played this well for this long, but I see more games like 2 games ago where he had like 11 points, like 3 of 15 shooting, than the games like prior where he had like 30 points, like 12 of 15 shooting. Like there are gonna be more games where LeBron struggles this season just inevitably, and they got to make a move, and they don't really have the assets to make a move for a player. So I don't think like everyone's saying top 5, top 6 now. I still see like 8 or 9, but like they're gonna cool off in about a couple weeks or so. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe JJ Redick gets coach of the year just to get him into the top 5, but I doubt it.
That would be crazy, but like I also personally agree. Like it's 5 games into the season. Like you see a lot of people overreact like off of 1 game, 2 games, 3 games. Like once like you hit that like 20 games, like 15, 20 games, and then you see them like continuing this kind of performance, then you're like, okay, like this team is like set. Like unless they like an injury happens, God forbid an injury happens, or they just fully fall off a cliff, then they'll be like bad. But this is another perfect segue. And then I want to talk about the Suns a little bit because I've been watching the Suns play a lot because they've played the Clippers, and I kind of wanted to see how the Clippers have been playing too without like Kawhi and how James Harden would play. And then they also played the Lakers too. Like against the Lakers, they were up 20, and then it was kind of like what you saw last year with the Suns. Like you're up 20, they fall apart in the fourth. The Lakers get the lead, and then they just build on the lead. But there's been games this year where like the Suns have been in close games. They've been in games going down to the stretch in the fourth quarter, and they've come out on top. Like against the Clippers, like that Clippers game, I think it went into overtime, right? KD hit a mid range to send into overtime, and they won in overtime. Like that kind of game, you wouldn't see them winning last year. Me personally, I don't really have a take on it. I want to know what your answer is. Do you think it's because of a coaching change, or do you think because now they actually have a point guard on their team, as in Tyus Jones, who can actually kind of facilitate that offense and put the ball in whose hands it needs to be in that situation?
I don't know, because if you watched that Clippers game, it was like low-key a painful watch for the first like 3 quarters.
It was.
Like I don't think Devin Booker and KD took more than like 3 shots each, like going into that fourth quarter. Devin Booker was like 4 or 5, or like 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 from 3, and just didn't take any other shot.
Yeah,
and,
like you texted me and you were like, "Is this dude still on vacation or what's happening?"
Yeah, like I was so confused. But in the fourth quarter, they turned it up.
Yeah.
But that's why, like in the preseason, when we saw the Suns play like that pass first offense, I'm like, that's not gonna last. Like, there's no way. Like, as good as like it's Tyus Jones, right? As good as Tyus Jones is as like a passer, like he's not a culture changer, right? Like you have like KD who's looking to score. You have Devin Booker who like is a pretty good passer in his own right, but is also looking to score. And you have Bradley Beal who's like awful. So you have like those 3 players that are all looking to score the ball. And it's not like Tyus Jones is the difference between like whether they win in overtime or not. I mean, I don't think the Clippers are that good. So I also think that part of it had to do with like James Harden like completely unraveling in the fourth quarter. But after playing honestly a perfect first 3, but like I don't necessarily think there's any sort of change for the Suns. Like I think they like I don't think they're that good either. I don't know. It could be like a bad take in the end. Maybe the Suns turn it up and like get like a top 4 seed, but like I don't see like a heliocentric like Durant Booker offense where they just don't move the ball and their only source of ball movement is Tyus Jones being like successful.
Even if they do have like that ball movement becomes perfect and everything, I just look at that lineup. Like you're gonna have Bradley Beal like basically playing the 3. Like that's not something you need. You cannot have that defensively, bro. Like Bradley Beal or even Devin Booker playing the 3. That's
what would work if they trade Bradley Beal to some dumbass like the Kings or something, and then they play Ryan Dunn at the 3. That would work. Ryan Dunn's been very good. He's been very good. He had a jump shot all this time. Like he didn't show it in college, but
exactly. Like where was this shot before? Like he's just like it's been hidden all this time in college. But like again, like they're not gonna do that because they're paying Bradley Beal $50 million, so they're not gonna even if it makes the lineup right, like they're not gonna put him on the bench because like once you put a $50 million player on the bench, like everyone's gonna look at you like, oh damn, you spent $50 million on a player to set
and he has a no trade.
Yeah, and he has a no trade cost, so you can't really do anything with him. So like again, like they might be 3-1 right now, 4 games into the season, but I also don't see that lasting even for like another couple games. But I want to go into the team that's also 3-1 in the West, the Mavs, and talk about the game that they played against the Timberwolves. So I'll go after you. I know you watched the game a little bit, so I just like, what were your thoughts and takes on that game as a whole? And I also want to know personally, based on what you've seen so far in a small sample size, what are your thoughts on take his name off the screen, bro? Yeah. I actually hate this guy. Like Luka is my least favorite player in the league. So I was saying some crazy things. I was texting Aashrith some crazy things about Luka.
Bro,
you don't even want to know. But
don't give Chetan alcohol, bro.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is I want to personally like hear your opinion on how you, from the small sample size, how that Julius Randle and pairing has been, because you you had a little I wouldn't say criticism, but just a little maybe like kind of
Skepticism for
thoughts,
sure.
yeah, about how like Randall would fit in with that team. So based on what you've seen in
He's
like the
looked good.
Mavs game and overall,
He's looked good. I mean, like this is the Julius Randle experiment, though, right? Like this is how it's
Mhm.
been his whole career. Like he's always had
Yeah.
these sort of like hot phases and cold phases, but he showed a willingness to play off the ball that I really appreciate. I found Ant's comments really funny because like no one took him seriously, bro. He was like, he's like, I told Julius I'm gonna build around you. Like, come on, bro. Like, what are we doing? Like, like we don't gotta be this humble.
Yeah.
But like, it's been good. Like, I think you guys could have. I think he's exactly the kind of like at his best he's the exact profile that you guys needed. Like
Yep.
just a secondary creator who can at least create for himself. Because like Ant and Conley are going to do their best to create for everyone else. But
Mhm.
like there's got to be that player that Ant can go to in the clutch, if maybe not in the clutch, but like in a situation maybe he's not feeling it, maybe he's getting doubled, where like there's a player in single coverage that can like get a basket, and that's something that I definitely undervalued because like Cat, like as good as Cat is, that he's not that guy that can just like
Yeah.
consistently like create a shot for himself. He just like he's
Mhm.
too tall. Like like he's a center. So that's one thing I definitely undervalued. One thing I will say though is that remember the first game or the was it game 1 or game 2 you guys played where Randall just like my god he was shot chucking.
Yeah.
Like it's just like that same thing where it's like he doesn't see anyone around him except for him in the
Mhm.
basket. That's sort of like Russell Westbrook sort of like feeling where it's like
Yeah.
you're in the zone, but you're not really in a zone. You're just in
In
a
the
zone to
zone, yeah.
shoot. You're not really hot. So that's interesting. I hope that doesn't bite you guys in the ass in the
Yeah.
playoffs. But like at his best, if he can just like tune out like the devil on his shoulder to tell him to always shoot the ball every single time, he's gonna be a great acquisition. It's a win-win trade for sure.
Yeah. Me personally, like the first game against the Lakers, like he was chucking shots a little bit. Like obviously, like I didn't take that game too much into consideration because like he hasn't played like a actual basketball game since January. So like obviously, like let him get into it, and also like he's surrounded by like completely different players than who he was playing with before. So it takes a little bit of time, but the one thing that the first game that I saw a lot of was, and a lot of my friends who are Knicks fans would tell me, like, you're gonna see him like at times, like, yeah, he'll look really good on defense, but at times, like when you need a stop or when there's a possession that they like just score on a backdoor cut, it's gonna be on him. Like he's just gonna stand there and it's gonna look like he's playing lazy defense. So I saw that first game and I was a little worried because like the whole like Wolves roster is built and like their whole identity is built around being a top like 3 defensive team in the league. And like honestly, so far throughout the first 4 games of the season, we have not looked like that. Like I would say maybe like close to like that 10 to 15 range right now. But like in the Kings game too, like the defense wasn't there, but you saw more of his like big shot making ability. Like he had like 24 points in the first half. And that's like half the reason why we were like even in the game. And then his playmaking has been incredible. Like he has a total of I think he has a total of 22 assists in the first 4 games of the season with with approximately I think it is like 5 turnovers.
It's really
22
good.
assists to 5 turnovers, which is a really good ratio, and he's
4-1.
also shooting the ball at a really efficient rate at like against the Kings, 33 points on 13 of 17 from the field. Against the Raptors, 24 points on 9 of 16 from the field. Against the Mavs, 20 points against on 7 and 13 from the field and like 3 of 3 from 3. Like he's shooting 63% from 3 right now. But I feel like the main reason why like the Wolves haven't been as good defensively is our transition defense. And I don't know if you saw this against the Mavs, especially in the first quarter. Like Daniel Gafford had 2 or 3 plays where like he was just like completely on the other end of the court because you'd have Rudy Gobert. Like he's known to be one of the best like offensive rebounders in the NBA. So like obviously Rudy's going to be the one trying to keep the possession alive and get you another shot on the offensive end. But when he's doing that, and when the other team gets the rebound, like their center is going to be up and running, especially when you have centers that run the floor like Daniel Gafford and like Derek Lively and people like that. Like, so before last year, like Cat, he was a center before. So when he sees a center running, he's going to go like he's already built in that center mindset to pick up the center. So Rudy can just pick up the 4. But Julius is like the definition of a power forward. So when he sees a center running up the floor, his first like thing in his mind isn't, oh, I'm gonna go and get the center, because he's a power forward. So like the center's not gonna he's gonna overpower him. He's gonna think that Rudy's gonna want to get the center. So that's something that like I feel like the Wolves have to like really work on is their transition defense, and then like turnovers, dude. Like we were up like 8 points in the third, then there was 4 turnovers in a row where the Mavs went on an 11-0 run, and at the end of the game, Ant lost the ball where we could have like come back and tried tying the game, and then like you lose to like Luka hitting like a shot from half court, like just like things like that. But like when if you don't have 20 turnovers in a game, like you have 20 turnovers on 63 possessions, like that's crazy. If you have at least like cut that down to 10, like you're winning that game, like hands down.
I also would like to have seen Ant play. I mean, Luka got hurt too, but I want to see at least Ant play like that full game, like without taking that leg injury, because he had what? My God, 24 in the first quarter. I think he was 6 of 8 from 3, and then he had 37 for the game, right? So I think like 13 points those last 3 quarters. Like if we got a little more production from him after, which we would have if he wasn't hurt, you guys probably still win that game. He probably gives more effort on the defensive end too.
I think he rolled his ankle about like 2 or 3 times. Then he like did the splits like in the middle of the court, and then like hurt his groin for a quick second. Like he got beat up that game. But like obviously like no matter, unless like he can't physically walk, like he'll come back on the court. But obviously like he's not gonna be able to perform at the same level.
One thing I was shocked about was that Rob Dillingham's getting like that's 4 straight coach decision DNPs.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I think what's going on with that is I think Finch is trying to get like the core pieces, like gel them together, especially like the starters, keep the starters in as much time as he can, because like you're incorporating new pieces, and then plus like one of your other most important pieces in DiVincenzo is coming off the bench as well. So maybe like I feel like the first like 10-ish games he's gonna try and get like an 8-man rotation going, so like those players can gel together, and then I feel like when Mike Conley starts to need like a little bit more rest throughout like the middle of the season and towards like I would say even like towards like end of December, that's when I feel like Rob will start to get like actual like consistent playing time. I also don't get why Joe Ingles is on the court. Like great like locker room veteran presence. Like he's like a funny guy. I see it all the time. Great IQ, but like you have players like Josh Minot that did amazing in the preseason. You have a really capable like 3-and-D like a small forward in Terrence Shannon Jr. that we also drafted. He's 24 years old. He has an NBA ready body. Like he can go out and lock you up on the defensive end, and also like him in he's kind of like Ant in transition. Like when he's going to the basket, like he's basically a guaranteed bucket when he's driving. So I feel like we have a lot of depth pieces that we can kind of incorporate into our lineup. So I feel like the rotations have also been a little off too.
Yeah, I think it's important to have like players like Ingles out there in the beginning of seasons, because like he's he's always been that kind of high IQ guy, right? That like knows where everyone should be on the floor. So I think as the season wanes, you're probably gonna see like less and less Ingles minutes and more probably like Minot minutes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is interesting that you guys even signed Joe Ingles to begin with.
Yeah, I think we signed him kind of to like replace that like Kyle Anderson kind of like veteran like locker room leadership. But yeah. But moving on to the next team that we'll be talking about is the Oklahoma City Thunder. And before we started the podcast, I was telling Aashrith, I was like I think the Thunder like at this rate are gonna win like 65 games this season, because like they look like they can't be beat, especially like after watching last game, and like you had Shea like barely like not even trying, like taking 8 threes in a game, like you don't really in like the first quarter, which you never see, and then you still have them like going out and winning, and then you have Chet playing at like a all-star caliber level. Like I feel like right now, if he continues playing the way he's playing, he's gonna win Defensive Player of the Year. He's averaging like 5 stocks a game, which is crazy. So yeah, just I'll pass it to you, and then if you want to talk about your team.
And also Jalen Williams done 5x5 watch yesterday too. But yeah, like I think even the most optimistic Thunder fan couldn't have predicted this level of development from Chet Holmgren. Like this is like crazy. Like I think the biggest difference is his aggression. Like not only just with the ball in his hands. Yesterday there was a 3-possession streak yesterday where he made a defensive stop, got the rebound, did not even look at the other 4 teammates. He went straight at whoever's guarding, whether it's Wemby, whether it's like Zach Collins. I don't know why he's still on the roster anyways. But Zach Collins. And like either dunked on him or got a nice fadeaway jump shot or hit a 3. Like he had 3 transition threes yesterday too. and I think he only had 2 blocks yesterday, but he probably had like
Yeah.
6 altered shots. Like still averaging 3.5 blocks a game, and like that,
Crazy
like
numbers.
dude, it doesn't even make any sense. And I told you this before the season started, but a lineup of like Shea, like Caruso, Dort, Jada, and Chet is like probably the best collection of defensive like players you could have in the NBA
Yeah.
as a lineup. Like
Mhm.
you have interior defense with Chet. You have like swarming guards. You can switch everything because Chet can guard the perimeter too. And like Shea, Dort, Caruso, and Jada. And if any of them are foul trouble, you get all NBA defender Cason Wallace off the bench.
Yeah.
Like this is the best Thunder team I've seen in my life. Even after 4 games, I can confidently say that. And
Mhm.
like I didn't one thing I didn't anticipate was like which has been a negative so far, but I think it'll end up being a positive later, is a sheer volume of threes that we take. Like Shea chucked up 8 threes in the first quarter. And
Mhm.
like he went 1 for 7, 1 for 8, or 2
Yeah.
for 8. I don't
That's
know. But like it shows the intent, I guess, of him wanting to master like all 3 levels. And we've been saying for how long, if Shea gets a 3-point jump shot, he's probably the most unguardable player in the league. And like it's going true because like a couple games ago he went 3 of 7 or something. They couldn't
yeah.
stop him because they're worried about the 3. So I don't know. And just to quickly comment on like the defense again. Our defense rating right now is 91.8. To like put how like insane that is in perspective, the last time we've seen like a sub 95 the defensive rating is the 0304 Spurs. The last time we saw a sub 93 defensive rating was like the 72 Washington Bullets. And
Yeah.
like they didn't even play like that wasn't even like a defensive rating thing. They just didn't score points back then because they were bad at basketball. So like it doesn't make any sense like how good we've been. Like I want to like advise Thunder fans to be a bit cautious. We haven't really played a good team yet, and we're gonna talk about one of the teams the first team we played in a second as one of the like most underperforming teams of the league. But it's been a good first 4 games. I think 65 is in the horizon. That
Mhm.
would be our record for a season. And yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but it's
Yeah,
been great.
like going off like that defensive rating, like last season, like the number 1 defensive rated team was the Wolves, and our defensive rating was like 108.4. And that was like a historic like defensive season for like the Timberwolves last season. So like that, just to put in perspective, having a 91, even though it's only through like 4 or 5 games, is still pretty crazy. But like I think the main thing that I've been seeing is like, yeah, it's mainly Chet. Like Shea is obviously like he'll do Shea things. You have
She's
Jada,
coasting.
yeah.
Like she's not even trying.
He hasn't even had a 30-point game this season yet, right?
No, he has. He
He
had
has
36 one game,
one game.
but
Okay, yeah. And
yeah,
usually like by now he would probably like last season he would have had like 4 35-point games by now or so something already. But then like I saw this stat like no center or like no center or 7-footer has started off this hot in the 4-game stretch since Anthony Davis, and Chet is the only one that has like put up like numbers like even relatively close to that, and they've been like better honestly. He's put up like 19 points, 5 rebounds, like that's his worst game, and that was against the Spurs in only 28 minutes. He puts up 25 points, 10 rebounds against the Hawks, 21 points, 16 rebounds against the Bulls, another like 25 and 16 like the game before that, and he's just like the aggressiveness on the offensive end is one thing, but like defensively, dude, like I didn't expect him to be like this good defensively. Like I always thought like, yeah, like he'll go out there, he'll give you 2.5 blocks a game, but like he's like fully holding his own against like every player that he goes in front of. Like if it's a guard, he can lock them up. And even if like he can't like stay in front of them fully, like he's tall enough and fast enough to kind of recover and still block their shot. Like honestly, I don't really it's kind of like he's kind of going in like that Wemby comparison, honestly, to me. Like the comparison's always been there, but like with the aggressiveness that he's been playing with and just like the defensive intensity, honestly, so far he's been a lot better of a defender than Wemby has this season. It's only been 4 games again, like 10 times a defender that Gobert has been playing like this season. So like if he keeps it up and then like that defensive rating, like obviously it won't be a 91, but like who knows? It might be like a 101, like 103, which would still be crazy for a team to go like that. And then I predict you guys like last season you guys won how many games? It was
57.
57. Like easily you guys are winning over 62 to 63 games. Like I think that's a very like easy thing you guys
Yeah,
can do.
barring injury, of course, but
Yeah,
yeah, like
barring God forbidden, like any injuries do happen, but like if something small does happen to like one of you, like something like obviously like you're gonna have injuries go throughout the season, but your team is so deep again. Like the defensive like guards that you guys have. Like another stat I saw today was like it wasn't a stat. It was just like someone talking about Casey Wallace's defense. It was someone saying like this dude is probably like one of the top 10 most like frustrating like people to stay in front of you like when you have the ball in your hands or when you're bringing the ball up the court. Like,
dude, we bring him and Caruso off the bench, bro. This doesn't even make any sense.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. And like, just to touch on like Aaron Wiggins, like my God, like UMD alum, probably the best one in the league right now. And like, I don't know if like him and Shea worked out every single day of the summer, but he plays the exact same way as Shea did like 2 years ago, where it's like hezzy, get to the basket, hezzy, get to the basket, and it's so smooth too. And it's just like Presti's built a team where like everyone can get a rebound and everyone can run. Like if Check gets a rebound, there's no passing. Like in the most notable thing, sorry to go on a tangent, but like the most notable thing that we used to do when Russ is a part of the team was that like Adams would get the board, chuck it to Russ. That would waste like a good like 2 seconds to find Russ. He couldn't pass it to like Dion Waiters. He couldn't pass it like Serge Ibaka. Like it had to go to Russ because Russ could push the pace. But now it's like Check gets a rebound, he can push it if he wants to, or like any of the four people on the court can push the pace at the exact same rate. It's such a cool like thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's good. I hope to be this positive about the team like 10 games from now.
No, I think you will. I think it'll be good. But yeah, I think that's basically all we have for today's episode. Just some games to look out for this week is obviously like we have the Wolves Nuggets game tomorrow at 9:30. I feel like it's a pretty big game because like both teams kind of the Nuggets especially have had their struggles. The Wolves have had their struggles, but have also shown some like good things. So I feel like whoever wins that game, you kind of see like that. All right, this is kind of like pushing them into that contender spot because like I feel like that 1 and 2 is like Thunder and Mavs right now. The Wolves are still figuring things out a little bit. The Nuggets, I don't even know what's going on with the Nuggets. Honestly, we didn't touch on them too much. Before we end, I want to touch on them a little bit. Actually, like their biggest problem is shooting, bro. Like they cannot. I saw one of their games. I think it was against the Nets. They got 3 offensive rebounds or 4 offensive rebounds in a row. Passed the ball back out to the 3-point line every single time they got the ball back and brick. It was crazy. Without Michael Porter Jr. on the floor, and even Jamal Murray was on the floor at that point. But without MPJ, they don't have a single like actual 3-point threat.
Dude, it's so bad. And like their shooting was only good last game because Russ had a hot game.
Bro, like Russ is not doing. I pulled up my phone and I saw Russ swish a transition 3. He is not doing that in any other game, bro.
Yeah, like again, like Russ is my favorite player of all time.
Yeah,
like he's gonna like he won't even his MVP season, bro. He wasn't doing that shit. So like it's like it's gonna be tough. They have to get shooting somehow because like, dude, did you watch the last game when they played? I think it was the Nets. Like if you watched that game, they were down. They gave the ball to Jokic 12 straight possessions, I think.
Yeah.
And he backed down like Dorian Finney-Smith and made layups the entire game because he didn't trust anyone else to make a shot. Yep. Like that was actually like me and my roommate were fucking dying laughing. Like I was like, what is going on? Like you never see Jokic play selfishly, but he was so pissed off because every single time he might have the most creative assist in the league. Because we're watching that game, it's wide open look to Aaron Gordon, wide open look to Russ, wide open look to Jamal Murray, wide open look to MPJ, and like they have like maybe 1.5 shooters on the floor, including him. So it's like, yeah, because he went 7 for 10 from 3-point games. I can't discredit him too much.
Like he has his moments, but also he like sometimes when he's cold from 3, he like goes like 0 for like 8.
He just won't shoot it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like he should get the MVP again just for being on that team. Honestly, because my God, they're bad.
Their championship window was open for 1 year. They got it and then it closed immediately.
Yeah, it got closed immediately. Yeah. Who would have thought KCP, the most important player in the league?
That's bro. Like look at the Magic, bro. The Magic are looking good too. So who knows? Maybe KCP is the ultimate glue guy.
Maybe he's the MVP.
Maybe he is the MVP. That's what most valuable players should really be. You got to give it to KCP. I think that's the agenda that we got to push this season. KCP for MVP.
Yeah, this is how we get more viewers in the podcast. We say KCP is the MVP.
So KCP's MVP I think if you're putting it in that way, like I think Dante has a little argument for MVP. Like,
all right, and that's the end of the podcast. So make sure to leave a like, subscribe.
Yeah, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, tune in for our next episode that probably be releasing sometime this weekend. And yeah, again, just got 78 more games left in the season, so just keep sticking with us and we'll keep putting out some fire content for you guys. Peace.